Killer Instinct 2013. Yeah, it's called 2013. This one's called the 2013 release because it came out in 2013. And is actually a soft reboot of the Killer Instinct franchise that started in the 90s and actually didn't make it out of the 90s. It was literally developed by Rare. At least the franchise was, and initially I think it was a Nintendo release only, at least on the home consoles. I could be wrong about that. But when this came out, it was like a reboot, a soft reboot of the series. Because it reintroduced everyone to the franchise. And in the franchise, if you don't know much about the game, basically, a company named Ultratech has held a fighting tournament. And it is initially done to, test people against their own creations. But Ultratech has never been. They have an ulterior motive. And in turn, this reboot does flesh a little bit more out. The underlying part of it is, of course, the tournament. But in this one, it's a little bit more. You can get a little bit more of the stories of the characters. I'll admit, not so with the first season. It was actually released in 3 seasons. Season 1 actually had 7 of the original Killer Instinct characters in it, with only 1 new addition. I believe of those that they had in Season 1, you had the 2 characters which sort of become like the lead protagonists of the series. Jago and his sister Bee Orchid. Of course, they didn't necessarily know they were siblings at first. Sort of revealed as time progresses. You have Chief Thunder, who is searching for his brother who disappeared. You have Glacius, an alien, who is trying, I guess, to retrieve lost technology of his kind that Ultratech found. And wasn't meant to find, so to speak. You have the Fulgor unit, which is literally a robotic unit that they have designed in part to be the ultimate soldier. I mean, would replace human soldiers. And I'm trying to think. We also had some other characters, which they're going to escape me at the moment. But, oh yeah, Saberwolf, a werewolf who is in part trying to find a cure for his condition that Ultratech promised, but of course reneged on. But during this game, you have them fighting, and this first season was more designed in its story mode to be a ladder, where you would see each character's story and then get their ending at the end. Wasn't overly dynamic. Bee Orchid trying to expose Ultratech, Jago trying to find the inner peace. Glacius, of course, trying to retrieve the technology. And one of the characters that they added for this first season was Sadira, I think is her name. Or Sadria. Maybe that's how it is. Spooter Woman. Ugh, I hate her stage. Too many spooters. She is a master assassin and is in Ultratech's hire for the time being. And each round is literally you're fighting. Your final battle is, of course, with full gore. Once you defeat him, of course, you move on, you get your story ending for each character. Full gore showing its prowess. Bee Orchid finally getting the information she needs to try and get out there, but Ultratech is, of course, everywhere. Glacius getting the technology and, quote, destroying it. To a degree, at least destroying his ship. And then Season 2 came out, which was called Rivals. And now your story mode was a little bit more fleshed out for the characters introduced in the, quote, second season. Now, for the characters introduced in the second season, you actually had 3 from the original. Only one that was in Killer Instinct 1. Well, one that was in Killer Instinct 2. And 5 original new characters. I should state that one of these, quote, new characters was one of the, like a special character you could unlock, or that became unlocked with Season 3. But amongst the Season 2 ones, of course, you had TJ Combo, a fighter who allowed Ultratech to put cybernetics into him so he could make a comeback, but then he, didn't want to throw in the towel or anything like that, and they exposed it. They, quote, exposed him before he could expose them. You have, I think, Riptor shows up, genetically engineered dinosaur. Yeah, and there was one other from season. Was there one other, or yeah, there was one other. I can't recall who it was now. Oh, Cinder, who was in turn a corporate spy type or merc who got infused with Ultratech technology to make him like a living lava man. And you also had some new character. You had a KI2 character. I think her name was Maya, who was a shadow hunter of sorts. She was part of a group called the Night Guard that basically fought to keep supernatural threats at bay and imprisoned. One of which is a new character added for the season 2, or for this new version of Killer Instinct. A sorcerer from Babylon, ancient Babylon, named Kenra. I think that's his name. Other characters that get introduced. You have this golem type creature, Arganos. You have an Onryo. I think her name was Hisako, which this is something Ultratech takes an interest in because, well, spirit, dead human hanging on as a spirit. Well, that's something that they can't, that the quote head of Ultratech can't allow to exist. You have other characters who are new, and I can't remember all of them, but I think the key one is Arya, an artificial intelligence that has taken on a humanoid form. She is the pinnacle of Ultratech's creations. In fact, she is such a pinnacle that she now is in control of Ultratech. And she is striving to force humanity to evolve. And so she is planning to use all these things that they found out about to bring about humanity's next evolution. Thinking, the strongest will survive. And of course, each character has their backstory, and in some ways, these backstories are going to tie together to a degree. But then they came up with Season 3, which is called Shadow Lords. There's no stories for the characters. I don't think they even have endings. And this one added about two more characters from Killer Instinct 2. I don't know if there was any left from Killer Instinct 1 to add. But all the other characters that they added are either original or is supposed to be added for Killer Instinct. One is a vampire who was actually Maya's sister. There is another character, I think her name was Kim Woo, that she got put in. Unfortunately, I don't think we can ever figure out her story. You also have the bosses from Killer Instinct 1 and Killer Instinct 2 showing up. If you never saw the first Killer Instinct game, the end boss of that was a creature under Ultratech's control called Idol, which was a two-headed monster. Well, I say two-headed, it was like one head split in half. But he was supposed to be, or some, like in the original storyline of the original game, he was supposed to be a herald for Gargos. And Gargos was your final boss in Killer Instinct 2. Of course, Season 3 shows Gargos now attacking and Arya realizing, this is a bit more than we can handle. So, all those people we've been trying to kill and have been fighting against us, we're going to have to ally with them. Hence the beginning of what is called the Shadow Lords season, in which you're, quote, assembling a team together and trying to, fend off the darkness and keep it from corrupting areas. Depending on how you play it, it's hardly fighting. You have a battle that is a fight with either a mimic or something like that. You can recruit teammates and find stuff, which can improve your powers in a battle. Which is why I say it's not really like your traditional fighting games. And so this is where we have Killer Instinct. This is where we have it now. And, Killer Instinct was a decent game for its time. The reboot had a lot of potential. In fact, they added some extra potential by adding characters in that were from other franchises as guest characters. They had, I think, Rash from Battletoads. Kind of funny. I played as him off screen or off recording, and it was like he even comments, "This is just I'm getting sick of these cameos." You have characters from other games, like one from Halo and one from something else, and I can't think of the name of the game. So, and this was before really they could delve into, like, fighting games were adding extra characters and really delving out their endings for these guest characters. So it's a little bit of a shame that they didn't give that the attention it deserved. And that's the honest to God truth. But overall, it's a very nice remake. The enhanced graphics are good. I do like that they throw in special, special. Like I do like that they throw in the retro costumes for the characters, although you have to make them up for the newer characters. I mean, Bee Orchid, Orchid, Black Orchid. Her original costume was like a skin-tight jumpsuit. And in this one, it's like Daisy Dukes and a halter top, something like that. But then again, she is quite the fighter. And apparently, from what I read, they did add to be able to do their ultimate moves, which was like a finisher. Of course, it all depends on if you can get into an ultra combo or not. Which is another fun thing, because that was one of the things I did enjoy about the original one, is like when you started stringing attacks together, and the longer and longer it got, you just heard like the game would shout all killer combo, beastly combo, god combo, ultra combo. Yeah, that was how the game was. Gave you that praise in that way. And I don't think you can find anyone in anywhere who heard that ultra combo and did not get hyped up. Would I have liked to seen, ladders and that for these new characters? Yeah, I would have. Especially since some of them were, quote, from the original games. And believe it or not, there was a, quote, an ending for Idol. Because if you knew how to finagle things, you could play as Idol in the first Killer Instinct game. And his ending was sort of a spoof of Blanca's ending in Street Fighter 2. And I suppose this is also where the game was just way ahead of its time. Because it incorporated everything to allow you to, scroll in and out. I mean, Mortal Kombat doesn't necessarily allow you to do that. But Killer Instinct could allow you to, get a good distance between you, because they would pan out for the, so you could get that whole area into play and be seen. And Killer Instinct was the first of the fighting games to have a health bar and a round end when a health bar got depleted. Of course, they have to tweak that a little bit for certain characters in this new version. Would I like to see it get a sequel or anything like that? I don't know on that one. I think the next time we see a Killer Instinct game, if we see another Killer Instinct game, it's probably going to be another reboot. And they're not going to do the season stuff. They're just going to have everybody out there. So, but it's fun to revisit. And that's what I'm going to say about that. It was fun to revisit. And I do hope you've enjoyed me talking about Killer Instinct, the 2013 release. Because playing this was a bit of a nostalgia for me. If you are like me, or old enough to actually play the Killer Instinct game, original one was out, or Killer Instinct 2, you will feel that nostalgia with this one. And like I said, that's all I'm going to say about that. I do thank you for listening, if you still are. And stay tuned until the next retrospective comes out. Bye all.